So, AEW Grand Slam Australia was last night. Well, it was 2 days ago, whatever. The show was solid. I've got some things to say about it. I don't think it was as positive as I thought it'd be, but definitely not bad. The main thing for me, I'll just say this right now. I obviously, if you're familiar, I take pictures, screenshots of every, for the entire reviews. It just decided to go, fuck that, no, and just not let me. So I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'll probably find some resolution. But point is, let's get into it because it was a good show and I can't... Honestly, I like to talk about this shit. So, the show actually opened up with the Continental Championship match between Jon Moxley and Konosuke Takeshita, favouring their feud in the Don Callis versus Death Riders whole war that's going on. Obviously, because it's continental rules, you don't get outside interferences, so that benefited both wrestlers because both guys are known for having outside interferences. But the match was good, and this is like where a lot of one of my main complaints, quote unquote, for the show is on TV especially, it didn't, I don't know if it was the arena, the acoustics of it or whatever, it didn't seem the most up for things, and I don't know why. I feel like they didn't, I don't know what it was. The crowd definitely was good from what I've seen in like videos, and there's definitely piped in like boos and shit, so whatever. The match was good. The match was, I would argue the last match between Mox and Takeshita was better, frankly I would, but not that this was bad. This was a lot more, not intense, but a lot more strategic, if that makes sense. It was a lot more, wasn't the quickest match, but as a match in general, I think Takeshita looked great. Moxley's just so efficient, but Takeshita's just explosiveness still just gets you for me. The Rage and Fire attempts, just everything, like that was the main thing with Takeshita. It was a lot of attempts of the Rage and Fire, and because it's continental rules, there is a time limit, and to spoil it right now, it did go to a time limit draw, which Moxley and Takeshita were both pissed with. I feel like, personally, it was a weird... I like the call of making it a draw because, it builds to Revolution and stuff, and, favours their feud, which I'm happy about. But I also just think, frankly, the match... I don't think the match benefited itself in an isolated sense of a draw. I don't think it did. I feel like if they give the win to one or the other, probably Mox to retain the belt. That makes sense. The draw I like as an idea. I do like the draw as an idea. I just think the way they executed it, I feel like it was clearly building to a finish, and the fact that it never... I understand that's kind of the point, but I feel like they didn't really prepare for that outcome, you know what I mean? I feel like stopping it in the middle when it should have been like, they should... Like, I remember how Takeshita and Claudio done it in the Continental Classic. That was a great way to execute a draw, where they're just both still hitting the shit out of each other, and they don't even hear the bell, and they're still going on it. I think that was the way to go. But the intensity between both wrestlers was definitely there. I mean, Moxley's brutality is just always going to be there, and just the defiantness of Takeshita. It's such a weird mix of styles, you know what I mean, between both of them. Like, Moxley's a lot more brutal than Takeshita, but Takeshita's such a fucking just impeccable professional wrestler that it's just going to work. I really enjoyed it. I think this was a good... I think it was a good opener, but I don't think it should have opened. I'll say that right now. I don't think it was the correct call to have this open, and I don't think the match order for the entire card was great. But I can elaborate on that furthermore. But I think this match was solid, and honestly, I'm more looking forward to where Takeshita and Moxley go further this, because Moxley, like I said, he's asking the ref at the end of the match, can I have 5 more minutes? And they're going, no, so they're definitely going to do something more. Honestly, hopefully on Dynamite this week, that'll be a good call to do that, because I think that would be a great idea. So after this, I'm not going to talk about all like the vignettes and hype packages, because there's a bunch of them for each match tonight. So I'm just going to leave that out tonight. But they do have a vignette segment of Tekla and Statlander discussing their previous match on Wednesday, where Tekla did win for the Women's World title. Now that it's happened, I kind of think they should have just put this on Grand Slam, make it a bigger deal, but whatever. I think what was said was, I do like it. It's Tekla, it's Statlander going, I was bleeding, I had that match won, and then, the Sisters of Sin get involved. She make an excuse of saying that Tekla, you've not seen the end of this. And then Tekla just cuts to Tekla, she got the belt, she goes, I don't give a shit. It was just funny as hell. And Tekla's just saying everyone, she's proved everyone that she is toxic, and Statlander went right into a plan. And then Statlander cuts, Statlander's still got the blood all over her face, so she just looks even cooler. And she's just saying, basically, Tekla, this isn't over, because, that you've frankly just awoken a beast in me, basically. But that was that. I would have just had them. Looking back on it, I would have just put the match on here. I feel like that would have been a better call. There was a match or two you probably could have moved onto that Dynamite, but I'm not going to complain. It was a great moment, and honestly, I'm still happy that Tekla champ. I think she's more than deserved it, and I love Stat, but I'm really happy Tekla's champ. So after this, we actually got our Women's World Tag Team Champions match between the Babes of Wrath and Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. I'm not calling them mega bad. So as a match, so the main thing of this match really is it's Harley's homecoming, obviously, and Harley's a lot of the focus on this match. Like, as soon as it starts, she starts the match and she just goes right at Megan Bayne. I was like, what the fuck? And then it's just basic. It wasn't as good as the last match between the two teams. It wasn't, frankly. But Harley's sling blade's still great. That's the main thing. And not say Willow's barely in it, but Willow does do loads. Again, it is more about Harley. Megan and Penelope do great. I mean, Megan Bayne's just a billet. The way Megan Bayne moves for a woman that size is insane. And Penelope's just so, like, athletic, frankly. It's a joke. The main thing for me about this match was, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I'm not a fan how the women's tag team division's been booked. I'm not a fan. I think it was too early just by judging it, but I feel like this was the course corrector. I said this in a preview. This was the most important thing to me, that they had Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford win. They did not. They actually lost to Harley and Megan Bayne, and I feel like that was not a good call at all. I think I try to be as positive, but I'm normally positive. I'm a very big AEW fan, you know, so I'll always give AEW my praise, but this is one where it shouldn't have been that. And frankly, just to ramble about Harley Cameron real quick, I like Harley. I think Harley's improvement's been great, and I think as an entertainer, she's naturally funny. It's just, I think they've ruined the character. I think they've not ruined the character per se, but more the sense of Harley was better when she was still this, you know, just wacky woman who had no business belonging in. The Mercedes match from last year's Grand Slam Australia is the perfect example, but now they're trying to make her like this underdog, take her seriously thing, and it's like, well, no, it doesn't work. She doesn't work like that. But the thing is with this match was designed for Harley. I think personally, even if they weren't gonna, like, this is what I was saying about the Statlander and Tekla match. At that point, if you're gonna have Harley win, or like if you're not realistically, sorry, you should have had Harley and Willow lose here. It was the right call. It was Penelope and Megan Bayne were basically designed for those tag team championships. They're the only ones who consistently earn a tag, you know, regardless of the champs. It just makes sense. It just made sense. It was a course corrector, and you know, it would have been the right call to do and move forward. They should have, if they weren't going to do that, and I understand you want Harley on the Grand Slam show, but you could have it a rematch. You could have put this match on Dynamite and have the Babes of Wrath retain, or the Babes of Wrath lose, and then Harley come in and have a match, you know what I mean? Whatever. That could have worked. I just feel like that was what they should have done, frankly, and I know it's all shoulda, woulda, coulda, but that was the biggest thing. It really pissed me off, frankly. I feel like, it's not that I dislike Willow or I dislike Harley. I like them both. I just think that was the time, right? And AEW's normally perfect with, like, Strike Molly Irons hot and stuff like that. Look at Brodido. This was the right time, and I think I just don't know what the plan is anymore. I don't. The match was fine. Again, I'm not really into the Babes of Wrath. I think Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford are good, but you can only work with what's in front of you. But the end of the match after the Babes of Wrath retain, is it Lexi Cross? I forget the Australian independent wrestler. She looks pretty neat. She has like this old, like she has like the same hairstyle, but purple instead, like what Jamie Hayes had in early AEW. And yeah, she interrupts, and then, you know, she basically has unofficially formed an alliance with Megan Bayne and Penelope by attacking Willow and Harley. And then, you know, they stand tall. Megan holds the TBS belt. Definitely the right call. But this is the thing, separate the divisions. This is the problem they've got with Willow. You can't, it doesn't, in my opinion, you shouldn't have a fresh division tied to the TBS belt, because it holds one back. It's exactly what happened with the Continental Classic, with the TNT belt for Danny Garcia a few years ago. It just isn't the right call. This was my biggest blunder of the night, frankly. I just think it was the wrong decision. I'm not a fan of the women's tag team matches. They're not bad, they're just not for me. And I wasn't a fan. But it wasn't bad. It was just something that I've not liked for a few weeks as a consistent AEW viewer, so I just rather they could have done a course corrector, and they never, but that's okay. Hopefully they prove me wrong. So after this, we actually got a Ricochet vignette promo thing where he's just, showing the previous him and Jack Perry, which I'm happy that's still going on. I do think that's the right call. It's just they should have had him win the other week. And basically Ricochet saying Jack, he's getting more and more right, Jack, when to stop, just leave, this is over for you. And he, basically just saying, Jack, leave me alone. But yeah, I like the Jack and Ricochet stuff, so I'm not going to complain. So after this, we actually got probably my most anticipated match of the night was Andrade versus Hangman for the #1 contendership at Revolution for the AEW Men's World Title. Whoever won out of Brody or MJF later in the evening. I said going into it, I would have had Andrade win, but I'm a Hangman fan, so it made, I wasn't going to complain if Hangman. I'm a fan of both, but you know what I mean. I think the match was great. I do. I think it's the best we've seen Hangman for a while, frankly, and I'm a fan of Hangman. I feel like Hangman was getting into a rut of being a bit samey, had a bit more fluidness to him. Andrade seemed like a perfect sparring opponent. I feel like this is one that you could tell the piping with the crowd was terrible. And I feel like this is one where I think the atmosphere would have changed the match a lot. I feel like, not to complain about that, I think the atmosphere in Australia was good, evidently. It was just a bit too spacious. It's like what New Japan kind of suffers from, where the arenas are quite big and the crowd's a bit further away from the ring. So, I don't know, it was just weird. But I thought Australia would be louder on TV. I've got to state this a lot. It was loud in there. I've seen videos from people's phones. It was. It's just, I just think it didn't translate well to TV. I thought Andrade here, Andrade is so good. He's so fucking good. And just the agility of the man. Like that, I don't know if it's like a power bomb or not a power bomb, a dive or what, but he does like an extra spring to it, and it's just perfect. Hangman got his knees up to that. It was quite a simplistic match in a good way. I think it was reveled in that. I feel like it was just about just letting these two guys just go and doing both of their things because they kind of blended well. Obviously, you get the Andrade in the hose spot. The girl's going out, he goes out, and Andrade, the girl's like, can I have a picture? And she gives Andrade a kiss, starts rubbing his neck, and he's like, easy. And then Hangman kicks him. And then she's looking at Hangman. I thought she looked scared, and she's like, can I have a picture of Hangman? So Hangman takes a picture with her. And she's going like, can I have a kiss or something? And he goes, I'm married. And then the crowd, this is where the crowd was loud again. It was like, the crowd erupts going cowboy shit. And I'm like, that is the most warranted cowboy shit thing I've seen in years. Hangman came up, kicked Andrade, got one of the bitches, whatever. And just continued to fucking peak. Andrade does the spot where he sits in the ropes. I call it the Naito pose, where he goes like that and Hangman kicked him. That's what a lot of it was. It was a lot of Hangman punishing the cockiness of Andrade. Andrade was trying to rile up Hangman a tiny bit, but it didn't really, pay off. It was, again, Hangman was a lot more driven and a lot more, not experienced than Andrade, but I feel like that was definitely what they're going for. The finish was great, because obviously Don Callis is on commentary with Andrade, for the Andrade match. And Andrade, this is what pissed me off about Andrade's side note, is the crowd were clearly behind Andrade. Maybe not more than Hangman, I don't know, but they were definitely behind him, but they piped in the boos. It was like, what the fuck? It's like, we all know we love Andrade, what's wrong with that? I please to God hope AEW, doesn't make this a regular thing, because the guy's fucking great, and there's nothing wrong with cheering him. I know he's a heel, but still. And, point is, the finish was, Andrade was getting a bit more on the back foot for, Hangman, while Hangman set up the buckshot. Don Callis comes up and distracts the ref. And then Andrade goes to low blow Hangman. But then Hangman catches the leg. And then low blows Andrade himself, then getting the buckshot. But when he went out to join the buckshot, Don Callis shit himself, ran away. I love how cowardly Don Callis is. And Hangman hit, frankly, again, another great buckshot. I love Hangman's buckshots. And that was the match. Hangman got the win and will challenge... I wonder who will win the main event of Grand Slam Australia at Revolution. And, yeah, I feel like it's the least interesting call. Not in the sense of, Hangman vs MJF's bad. No, I love Hangman MJF. My Twitter banner is Hangman vs MJF. I love them. Two of my favourite wrestlers. And the matches are good. I don't think they get the credit for how good those matches are. Revolution match last year was great. But I just think... the thing is with Hangman, I don't think Hangman wins that belt if he goes against, whoever wins. I don't know, I don't want to talk about it yet. But I just would have, personally, I would have had Andrade win. I think Andrade would have been the much more interesting option because I don't know, it just felt a bit more... I don't think you get another opportunity to do this as well as it is now, but obviously could be, you know, complete spare of the moment thinking. But the match was good. It wasn't my match of the night, as much as I thought it was going to be my match of the night, but it wasn't. I wanted it to be, but it just... I think it just lacked a small thing, and I don't know what that was. I think it was the speed, maybe, but in sense of, like, I don't know, it just lacked something small, and it just did, you know, when you watch a match like this is really good, it felt like a TV match, it didn't feel like a pay-per-view match, and that's fine, that's more than fine. I just think it didn't let me down. I think that's very important to state, but it was a solid match. I tend to overhype things a lot. So after this, we get they go to break, come back, and it shows that the band who were doing the theme for AEW Grand Slam Australia called Speed, I've never heard of them, were there. That was I don't know if that's cool. I know Brody King shouted them out on Instagram, so I'm like, okay, I like you then. And then we got our Tornado mixed gender tag match between Toni Storm, Orange Cassidy versus Wheeler Yuta and Marina Shafir. Whoever got pinned would have to shave their hair. Now, I thought this match I enjoyed this match a lot more than I thought it would. Not even just as a match, but just as comical as it was. The match wasn't too long. It was probably the shortest match of the night. But, like, the entrances. I love how they done Tony's Grayscale in this one. I was watching it live with my friend Snotty, and he was like, it was different. I was like, oh shit, it is. Because normally it's just black and white for Tony. This one had the gradients. It felt like they just muted the colours. It looked well better. I hope that's the angle they go down. But as soon Tony and Cassidy ambush Yuta and Marina, and then basically Tony gets taken out. Luther comes out dressed as a fucking barber, carries Tony away. So it's 2-on-1 Marina and Yuta. They're beating the shit out of Cassidy for a good bit, and then Marina's beating the shit out of Cassidy. And then starts doing rubbing his hair, and then starts doing the dance, and so then Tony comes back out pissed, bandaged up, screaming, "You bitch!" Stuff like this at Marina. Starts beating the shit out of Marina, then hearing Cassidy do the dancing spot. That was pretty funny. And then a lot of the stuff I loved about this match is Cassidy and both genders are not afraid of hitting the other genders, which you don't really get in mixed gender matches, which I thought was really cool. I thought Orange hit Marina with the orange punch. And obviously, Yuta hitting the Psycho knee on both Marina and Tony was great. Really sells how much of a piece of shit Yuta is. That's how it led to the finish. Yuta accidentally hits Marina with the Psycho knee, and they get the pin on Yuta via an orange punch, and that means Yuta's going to shave his head. Now this, after the match, it was fucking hilarious. Where, so Yuta goes out saying he doesn't want to shave his head, because Mina Shirakawa comes out with a barber chair, because obviously I meant to say he's got like a pink braid in his hair. That's the hair that he cut off Mina Shirakawa. I thought that was really cool. Then he's like, I'm not cutting my hair, no fucking way. And then he's walking out, he jumps over the barricade to walk back out, and Moxley just walks up behind him and goes, go cut your hair. And he's like, no, and like Moxley's just saying, you've got to go cut your hair. So I'm like, I love when Moxley gets involved with like shit like this. I just think it's fun. It makes it 10 times funnier. He's just the Moxley's one of those guys where he's so unintentionally funny. So then you go back in the ring, and he sits down. It's Mina, Tony, and Cassidy and Luther all in the ring from the faces. When he sits down on the barber chair ready to get his hair cut, Marina Shafir sits down, like, puts a hand out like that. And then, like, so Yuta holds her hand like he's fucking pregnant, giving birth, and he's just holding his hand like, we'll get through this. It's fucking nuts. And Moxley's in the background like that. He's just, that alone's the funniest thing. And then, so it's Mina Shirakawa gets the first cut. She's going mental, obviously. Then Orange gets the clippers. Well, Tony does the clippers, and then Tony does the scissors. Then Orange gets this razor, and he goes, "I'm sorry, buddy." And he goes, "No, you're not." And he just goes, "No, you're not." And he goes, "You're right, I'm not." And then he goes to give it to Luther, and he just randomly flips it. Luther's got like all that cut in his hair. And bear in mind, Moxley's just. I think Moxley was breaking because he couldn't even look. He was just looking like that. I think he was breaking. It was I don't know what. They give him the Hogan dumbass bald and then long on the sides. And that was it. I don't know why. I just think Moxley elevates this to a 10. But it was just so fucking stupid. If we get bald Yuta like we did with Bald Bryan, oh my god. But I think this was funny as hell. The match was a lot more. The match knew it didn't need to be showed more about the finish. The finish was fun. And Yuta getting it, even though it was the predictable outcome, it made sense. It was fun. And just that ending segment, just Moxley again. Moxley and Marina Shafir just taking this shit like it's like someone's being stabbed in the heart. Oh my god, I love this. I love this, like the dumb shit I love in wrestling. It's fucking impeccable. I think it's great. Now next, we have Kyle Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe for the newly won by Kyle Fletcher TNT belt. And a ladder match. And this is their 7th match. It's the Game 7. Now, going into this, I wasn't a fan of this match existing. I think they shouldn't have done Briscoe, but, you know, I've never said it was going to be a bad match. This was my match of the night. The crowd. This, honestly, I'll speak about it later. I think this should have main evented. Looking back on it, this should have main evented, or it should have opened. One of the two. This was excellent. Briscoe and Kyle just continuing their insane form. Blood straight away from Briscoe. The fucking Kyle Fletcher, I've said it once, I'll say it again, is the fucking man. And he's such a whore, because also he comes out with glitter on his face. We're like, what? But then he also has like a little like a promo in the side screen saying him and Okada, he's thanking Okada for not involving himself last week. And then he's saying, and he says, look, can you just not do it for Australia as well? And he's like, yeah, of course. And then they both go pro Okada. And I'm like, you are fucking around. Just don't fuck my boy Takeshita like that ever again. It's like fucking Coronation Street. But the match was excellent. The use of the ladders. I think a ladders match is kind of hard to live up to expectations sometimes. This was really good. The breaking multiple ladders. The brainbuster from the top. I mean, Jesus. Just everything. It's Kyle's match. Briscoe's phenomenal, but it's Kyle's match. It's weird to see Briscoe get booed for a while because the crowd is all for Kyle, as they should. It's his hometown, and it's fucking Kyle Fletcher. I loved it. I love this match. I love the finish where Kyle kicks Kyle kicks Briscoe off the other ladder. Just stuff like that. It's one of those where I couldn't really in depth describe it because it was just weird and wacky and fun, but I just think I just love this. And Fletcher gets the belt, obviously, from the hanger above. And it's such a good moment. Fletcher starts, like, the proper crying, you know, tearing up, you know, has emotional moments, screams, you know, shit like that. I was just like, yeah, fully deserved. Top 5 wrestler in the world. Argue with a wall. So fucking good. I love this match. This was easily my match of the night. And I would argue this was the only one that felt like a pay-per-view match. In terms of in-ring, it really did. And that's not a disservice, because it's not a pay-per-view. It was just, that's just the level I thought it was. It wasn't a match of the night of a pay-per-view, mind you, but it was definitely a pay-per-view level match. Again, just Fletcher, Briscoe, everything about it. Definitely the match to watch. But also, before I finish this little bit, they didn't show this on TV for fucking dumbass reasons. Kyle gets the mic, you know, says a few words, saying thank you to everyone. They unveiled the TNT belts, now pink. It's pink now! It's finally pink! So, you know, that's something cool. Means Fletcher's probably going to have a much more lengthy TNT run, hopefully. Well, we said that about Briscoe. Briscoe's wasn't lengthy, was it? But yeah, honestly, I just thought they should have kept that on TV. But they never, so whatever. Great match. Easily match of the night. And honestly, should have main evented. Really fucking good. Kyle Fletcher, again, what a wrestler. So, after this is our main event for the AEW Men's World title. It is MJF versus Brody King. Now, before the match even starts, the fuck ice chants are happening. Shock. And the match was good. The match was good. I like how they portrayed MJF not really being able to truly overall hurt Brody King. It was just more targeted to the knee, and that was, I love when matches do that. Just targeting Brody's knee a lot. Yeah, I love when matches do that in the sense of, like, you know, MJF's never going to get to the length to, you know, do the wrist, the balls, and the face move to Brody because of the size difference. But I love how they portray Brody as, even though because he's such this big, intimidating figure, his level is not Max's level, it's not. So, it was an underdog, and it wasn't, like, masterpiece or anything, but it was just, I really like how they executed it. It was a very good, simplistic match, again, but in a better way. Like, Brody, the fans were behind Brody. Max is just great. We all know this. And then Brody's getting in the chokeholds. Like, he gets a few stuff on Max, but nothing really great. But Max has got him in a choke. And he looks like he's about to tap or fade. And then Bandito runs out. And Bandito's going, Brody, don't give up, man. Don't give up, hermano. You know, like, similar to what he does. And I fucking love that. And then, obviously, Bandito's there for the rest of the match. Yes, I fucking love that, man. And it kind of, I think after that point, the match spares on a bit. It has a bit more oomph to it. MJF still does get the win. I mean, he does, you know, he doesn't even have to, like, cheat to win, which I didn't really like. It was more, he hits I forget what he hits on the outside, then brings him in and just hits the It's not even a heat seeker. He just hits I think he just hits a basic DDT, if I'm not mistaken. And then he gets the win. And I thought, well, okay, that was a good match at service. Then Hangman comes out. They do a little not even back and forth on the mic. They just start arguing. Hangman signs the contract that you basically saying, you see you there. They'll have a segment on Dynamite. And that's how, and Hangman does a punch and MJF flinches. He doesn't even hit him. I love that. But the match itself between MJF and Brody was good. It was a good match. It wasn't excellent. It was just good, and there's no problem. There's a few problems, I'll say, and I think there was problems about the pay-per-view. The obvious thing is Buddy didn't come back, and yeah, that's not... I don't want to give it a fault for a wrestler didn't return, because a wrestler now won't be able to return, so it's not really a fair point to say. But I feel like... I don't know, I don't think it hurts Brody, because Brody's stock's risen anyway. I don't know, I just feel like there was just something missing here. And I think even if Buddy got there, I don't think it would have really excited it. But I don't know, there's just something a tiny bit missing. I think if they redone the Hangman spot where he stands at the stage, but MJF still won, that could have had something, maybe. Something small. But either way, good match, good main event. Kyle versus Max should have main evented. Especially with no Buddy return, there was no reason for this main event over Kyle. There wasn't. That was my point before. This should have main evented. This shouldn't have main evented. Kyle should have main evented. 100%. So yeah, that's AEW Grand Slam Australia. And to not sound so negative about it, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. I just think it was a weaker Grand Slam compared to Grand Slam Mexico and Australia last year. I think this was worse. I think there was good matches. Again, Kyle versus Briscoe was excellent. I think some decisions were stupid. Frankly, the Babes Wrath retaining was dumb. You've still got, obviously, the Moxley to Takeshita match was good. I just feel like that was positioned wrong. MJF Briscoe, MJF Brody could have been the opener maybe. And then, honestly, it just felt like we just missed something from a few matches. It really did, and there's nothing really wrong with that. Again, I don't want to really sound so critical because there's no Buddy Matthews return and stuff. That's not a problem. Again, you can't really blame it on that. It was just, well, at that point, don't have it at the main event. I'm more of the opinion world titles should main event, but I don't know. It's like, it's not a pay-per-view, so that shouldn't matter. Why don't we just have the main event be the TNT belt, because that's what the crowd were most entitled for. It's probably the easiest, best match of the night, just because of how wild it gets. Shit like this. I just feel like there was just a few problems with this, and not that it was a bad show. Again, it wasn't like a weak AEW show. It didn't feel like a pay-per-view, which Grand Slams normally do. It's a fair comparison. But it's not a knock against it. It was not a great Grand Slam. I just think, if this was your first AEW show, or like one of your early ones, it's great. I just feel like it wasn't as standout as a Grand Slam normally is. And that's fine. It was a great episode of Collision, if you want to count it as that. It was a great episode of Collision. It was really stacked. All title matches. And, you know, the way a lot of them finished ended great. It leads on to a lot. Yeah, I just feel like there's a lot to say. And I don't want to sit here, because I feel like this is coming from a... not more consistent. I don't know. I just feel like this is coming from a fucking wrestling nerd. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not going to love this. I thought I'd love it more. It might be an expectation thing. I don't know. I might need time to rewatch it again. I've rewatched it once already for this, so I might have to rewatch it again, maybe. It might have been the crowd. I don't know. Again, it wasn't the crowd. It was TV, but you know my point. It was a good show. It just wasn't... frankly, it might be me. The Grand Slam Mexico last year is one of my favourite events ever, even including pay-per-views. And I loved Grand Slam Australia last year too, so it might just be me expecting a bit too much. But the card was great. The matches not all delivered. Some decisions were stupid, but there was no real bad matches. And honestly, it was. And frankly, wrestling's supposed to be entertaining. It's supposed to get some emotions. I got my fill. I don't regret watching it. That's the main thing for me. I don't regret watching it. I just didn't adore it, and that's fine. That's fine. If you did, I'm honestly happier that you did than me, because shows that I am an idiot, and we all know that's true. So yeah, that's my thoughts on AEW Grand Slam Australia. Not to sound so negative, apologies if that is a thing for you. But I hope you all enjoyed it. I genuinely do. I hope you all enjoyed the show. And let me know what your favourite part of the show was, because for me it was easily Fletcher versus Briscoe, just because that emotion that, you know, basically bled through. But let me know what you thought, because I think it's a very interesting show to talk about. And it might, honestly, if you start saying stuff, I go, oh, forgot about that, it might remind me of that. Okay, this show's better than what I thought. But yeah, please let me know what you thought below.